Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Hi, I'm 59 male. My wife Susan 54 female and I have been married for a while, have a son, Mark 26 male. Mark graduated from college nearly 4 years ago, but to this day has no steady job or source of income. He also has a terrible habit of drinking and gambling where he loses a lot of money. We have tried seeking therapy for him, but he just doesn't follow through. When we force him to go for it, he just doesn't come home for days. Susan gets really bothered by this, and so we stopped that also. 6 months ago, Susan and I decided to go on a movie date night. On the way back, while I was driving, a deer suddenly crossed the road in a weird manner, and in an attempt to maneuver it, I rammed into a tree. And that's the last thing I remember. It so happened that Susan was also injured in the impact, so nearly an hour later, someone who saw the rammed car called 911 and we were taken to the hospital. We were rushed into the hospital and my wife had fractures on both her legs, but I was absolutely unconscious and slipped into a coma. So happened that my head was impacted and needed an immediate brain surgery. The hospital tried contacting Mark. He never picked up. They called multiple times and he just never picked up. My wife kept asking for Mark and I was sent into surgery. So the last option was to get the cops involved. They had the cops go home and pick him up from there. When the cops went home, they found him absolutely wasted with some friends. When they tried speaking to him and telling him that his parents were in an accident, he laughed. He was drunk and asked them, how much more time will they take to die? His friends hooted when he said that. The next day, my sister drove down 3 hours to take care of Susan and I. Mark was nowhere to be found. Post the surgery, I still had residual disability in the lower part of the body which needed a lot of care. Hence, I was in the hospital for nearly a month. Mark did not come once to visit me or even call to check up on me. When I was discharged, they said that I had to do physical therapy which was really expensive. And so our expenses were really high. At this point in time, my son comes home one day after spending days in the casino. He came home and asked us for $6,000. When Susan asked him why he needed so much money, he got irritated and said, "Why are you asking questions? Just cough it up." That's when I lost it. I asked him where he had been when I was admitted to the hospital, where he had been when the accident happened, why he had not participated in the therapy sessions. Mark got triggered and he and I had a huge screaming match. When he realized that Susan was taking my side, he got even more mad. He started hurling abuses at Susan for no reason. That was the last straw. I told him to pack his things and get out of the house before I called the cops on him. He threw the glass vase that was on the table on the floor and left the house, slamming the door behind him. I screamed after him that he was not welcome home after this. Susan was in tears after this and said that I was too harsh. Am I the a-hole? Update. Turns out Mark did actually leave the city as he owed some men money, around $10,000. They would turn up at my doorstep when they saw me on the wheelchair and also found out that Mark doesn't really care about us. They filed a case against him. We don't know where he is now. My wife is so upset because of this. But she now believes that he needs to leave and that is good for our welfare. I am so sorry about you and your wife's accident, OP. I wish you both a full recovery. You're not the a-hole. You did the right thing kicking your ungrateful son out. He sounds like an entitled brat who deserves nothing from you. He's an adult. You shouldn't be giving him that kind of money unless it's for his wedding or something. And even at that, he's still not entitled to your money. It was time you threw him out. Since he can't appreciate the things you do for him, he might as well find someone else to do it. I'm sorry about your son, OP. Please change your locks. I hope the next time you see him again, he's transformed into a better person. Story 2. I, 24 female, moved with and for my boyfriend, 28 male, of 2 years, so he can be closer to his family for his daughter's sake when it is his visitation time. Last summer, I met his daughter for the first time and we were getting along great. But I only interacted when she interacted with me. My boyfriend's mother told me to back off essentially, saying that she wanted her granddaughter to spend more time with them, since they hadn't seen her in 2 years, since her boyfriend's daughter, Mom, basically left my boyfriend without letting him know. I assured her I understand and respect that, and that it was not my intention to take time away from them. Things were fine. Christmas time, I drive 13 hours to bring my boyfriend to his mom's. We bring all the food in our fridge so we don't have to eat his mom's food. Suddenly, I am hearing from his sisters and him that their mother is calling me disrespectful, on top of acting very passive-aggressive towards me in front of everyone. When they attempt to talk to her, asking for her to talk to me about issues she has, she states, "She's not my child. I'm not obligated to talk to her. And I am your mother. You care about me and my feelings." I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm helping cook, clean, babysit, and stay out of the way. Mind you, she knew I was coming up for Christmas time and was very supportive of it. I spent the last money in my bank account buying meat, veggies, anything to decrease holiday stress. I heard nothing from her or anybody of things I had been doing wrong. This past week, I learned she had been saying that I am not mother material and that I am putting my granddaughter on the back burner. She's making up narratives and lying about me misplacing her granddaughter's things, etc. She's telling everyone that I'm not prepared to be in such a relationship. I told him and his mom I knew what I was getting into and I am ready to take the time I need, while being respectful, to be a good guardian to my boyfriend's daughter. It's very painful to be told to back off and then being told by third parties that I'm not doing enough. His mother is not one to be confronted, as she reportedly has a history of throwing actual tantrums whenever someone confronts her about how she's acting. My boyfriend and his sisters won't talk to her anymore and say I need to hash things out with her. But I never had a problem in the first place. I'm very frustrated that my boyfriend won't stand up to his mother for me, especially when everyone knows I literally did nothing wrong during the holidays. I was also very vocal about my understanding of her feelings, and I stayed back out of a majority of family time. I even overheard her bitching about me when I was in the bathroom one morning and I came out and said, "I have money left on my Ulta credit card if you need help with anything." And she said, "Oh no, sweetie, you're fine. I don't know what to do anymore." Not the a-hole OP, but you do need to find a solution to this issue before it gets worse. Your boyfriend is supposed to tell his mother off for you, but if he can't, then you should do it yourself. Set boundaries with her. Call her out on her contradicting orders. And if your boyfriend starts to get mad at you for standing up for yourself when he won't do it for you, then you need to reconsider the relationship. His mother is always going to be a part of his life, so you either set the boundaries now for your peace, and if it doesn't work out, then please leave. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole, of course. But what is your end game here? You moved to be near your boyfriend. Are you planning on marriage or equivalent long-term partnership? Just understand, marrying your boyfriend means you are marrying the family, including his mom. And narcissists like her drain the lifeblood out of everyone they know and purport to love. Ask yourself if it's really worth it before you invest any more time and attention in this relationship. The mom sounds like she has a touch of narcissism. You can never satisfy a narcissist, so you can stop trying. Boyfriend and his sisters have been subjected to mom's behavior for a long time and, as a result, can't stand up and confront mom. It's not that he won't, it's that his brain has been wired not to. Not the a-hole, because it's best to avoid narcissists. Tread carefully, because children of narcissists often have to rewire their brains after leaving a narcissistic parent. I was in a relationship with a man for over 3 years with kids that were 2 and 3 when we were dating. The number one reason we broke up is because his mom is mean and toxic, and he wasn't able to create healthy boundaries. It's sad because there was so much love and happiness between us, but his inability to set boundaries with his mom or stick up for me if I was being bullied by his family was what broke us. I ended up feeling like I was trash and never good enough when I went out of my way to be modest, respectful, kind, helpful. I learned sometimes love is not enough, and love also means protecting your significant other from harassment. If he doesn't learn boundaries, I guarantee you will end up miserable long term. Story 3. I, 27 male, and my wife, 24 female, have been married for 3 years. She is 6 months pregnant. I have been looking for a job with better pay since my wife said that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom after the birth. Today, I had this interview for a position at a very good IT company which would be paying triple my current salary. There were a lot of measures taken to prevent malpractice. I was not allowed to look anywhere but the screen, etc. The test was conducted on an online platform. I had told her numerous times before the exam about the strict invigilation. Just 15 minutes after the test started, my wife started knocking on my study door and calling out my name, saying she wanted me to open a jar. I ignored her because I would be disqualified from the interview if I looked anywhere else or spoke. I figured she would get the hint that I couldn't talk, but she didn't. She yelled at me, calling me an a-hole, and went on to talk to her friends on call. It didn't stop at the calls. She played loud music for her online dance yoga class. It was extremely distracting and I made a lot of mistakes in the exam. It was a multiple choice questions-based test, so I got the results immediately, and as expected, I had failed miserably. I was livid at my wife. This was the 5th interview that she ruined like this. I told her that I give up on trying to make her life easier and that I'm not ready to go looking for any more jobs, since she doesn't even want to maintain silence during important interviews. I told her to start working again after the birth and that I'm okay paying for a nanny and babysitter. She said that I'm being unreasonable in expecting perfect silence at home. Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Deliberate or not, this is undermining your chances of success. Find somewhere else to hold interviews and tests, a friend or family member's place, or even a co-working space with a private room you can hire. You would be unreasonable in expecting perfect silence at home, but it doesn't sound like she was just making the normal, I'm living here kind of noise. Not the a-hole, but you need to have a conversation about why she's deliberately sabotaging you getting a better job when it's to support her goal. I'm afraid that I suspect it's an attempt at control. Maybe she wants to be a stay-at-home mom to stop you from ever leaving, but also doesn't want you to be a higher earner, more successful, more independent, etc. I once knew someone very like this, which is why this is setting off that particular alarm bell. I hope I'm wrong and she's just not very smart. You need to get to the bottom of this. Is she afraid if you make a lot of money you'll leave her? Is she scared of the reality of being a stay-at-home mom and self-sabotaging? I'm no psychologist, but it seems like there is some kind of anxiety or reaction to something that's driving this behavior that's not apparent from the post. Instead of another argument, see if you can find out where this is coming from and if that fear can be addressed. Not the a-hole, of course, but maybe there is a more constructive path than getting mad.